Hello everybody, how are you? Come on in. It is Casey in the kitchen and I'm excited to share a recipe with you today that most of you probably are not familiar with. This is Persian food we are cooking today. I'm going to show you how to make Lubia Polo. So that is a Persian dish that we make around here quite often. Lubia meaning green bean and polo meaning rice. So this dish has beef, tomato paste, green beans, kind of a mixture. If you remember my video on making Persian spaghetti, we make something similar as far as the mixture goes, where it has the beef and tomato paste kind of holding it all together along with the vegetable. And then with the spaghetti, we layered it with pasta. And today we're gonna layer it with rice. We're gonna make it all in a big stock pot with the tadik on the bottom, and that's the fried either rice or potato, or you can do like a lavash bread or even a tortilla if you don't have lavash. So that's what we're making today. So come on in, say hello when you jump on here. Let me know you are watching. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with my onions down in my pan. I'm using our Brilliance cookware today, which is brilliant. If you don't have good quality cookware, let me tell you, you're climbing an uphill battle in the kitchen. Cookware and knives. Those are the two most important things in being able to put together a meal without so much stress. Anybody a fan of being able to cook with a little less stress and struggle? You might actually be a good cook, but if you don't have the tools that will help you, that might be a struggle. So I've got my onion all chopped up. By the way, this is one of my very favorite knives. This is a lifetime warranty knife. The 5-inch Santoku knife in our forged cutlery must have. If you're gonna get one knife, that's the knife. That's the one, folks. This is also one of my favorite pans we are using here. I love how I can do just about anything in here, and the nice high sides on it means that I'm not spilling everything out the side all the time. So with our onion here, I'm just gonna give that a little stir. I had a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. If you like a different kind of oil, you can totally switch that up. We just wanna get some color on these onions, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add in my ground beef, which I would typically make or cook at this point. However, for time's sake, I did already brown the ground beef ahead of time, so I'll be able to add that in and then quickly move on to the next step. So while those onions are cooking, let me go ahead and open up one of our cans of tomato paste here. We're using this Smooth Edge can opener. Say hello when you're jumping on here, guys. Hi. I hope your summer is off to a great start. Do you have any plans for this summer? Tell me something fun you have planned. So with our Smooth Edge can opener, we're just gonna go all the way around the can and then back a quarter turn. So the lip of the can just went right here in between these two circles. And then we're gonna use the little birdie beak on the side here, and we push the button to grab a hold of the lip of the can. Pull that up, no sharp edges on here or here. Love it. Super safe to use. I'm actually gonna use up part of a can I already had from another meal. So I'm using like 1 3/4 can of tomato paste. I don't have a real recipe for this. It's kind of just by trial and error, and I've made this enough times that, you know, that's kind of how it goes. I do have 2.5 pounds of ground beef here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. Those onions are getting nice and translucent, a little bit of color to them. So I'm gonna add this in. This was about an 80-20 beef. So I did go ahead and strain it, which by the way, if you don't have these colanders, you are not even living life. They are the bestest. You see how nice and fine a mesh that is? And all of those little bars that go down like this, that helps keep it stable so that it doesn't, you know, warp into weird nothingness. All right, so we've got our beef in there. Let's give that a stir. Now it's time to start adding some seasonings. Of course, I crumbled all that beef up with what? It's the mix and chop. Yes, if you don't have one of these in your kitchen, this is a must-have. You must order this today. How many mix and chops does every kitchen need? I mean, at least, just I think they are absolutely one of the best things ever invented. And yes, there are cheap knockoff versions. And yes, ours is better. I will say it, I am not ashamed to say it. For sure, it is better. All right, so we're gonna add in a little bit of salt. Key to cooking any dish is adding your flavor, your salt to each layer. Not a ton in one layer, but you know, just building that salt layer throughout, because salt is enhancing each of those flavors. So add a little bit to our beef mixture, and we are going to go ahead and add some turmeric. That is the secret ingredient in this recipe. How much, you say? I don't know. I love turmeric. It's actually really good for you. However, I will tell you, be careful what utensil you use at this point because you will stain them. I do like these silicone tools that we have come out with. I have found that they work really well with turmeric. They clean up still after using it. Just, that smell is amazing. Okay, let's go ahead. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is kind of make a center well here where I'm gonna add in a little bit of oil. Again, I'm back to using olive oil. So I'm adding this, I'm gonna put my tomato paste down in the center here to kind of fry that tomato paste. What we're doing is just taking that kind of raw tomato flavor away by frying that tomato paste. Again, I didn't add a whole lot of oil, just maybe half a tablespoon to a tablespoon, just enough to get some flavor on this tomato paste. And I am just kind of pushing that around in the bottom there, right where that oil is, just to get that tomato paste cooking. Because what you don't want is that raw tomato flavor overpowering everything else. All right, so once we get this kind of cooked a little bit all the way around, our next step is going to be to mix everything together. And I'm going to switch back to my spoon here. Give this a stir. Now at this point you don't have to, and it kind of depends on how much fat you left on your beef, whether you need a little more moisture or not. But I think I am going to go ahead and add just a little bit of water into our mixture here just to loosen it up. Because I really drained out a lot of that fat. Oh, that's better already. So we're just giving it a little bit of moisture. Some people might actually add oil at this point. You could. That is going to loosen it up a little bit. However, if you're not trying to add all the calories, then this would be another option. Okay, so now we are ready to add in our last ingredient to this mixture, which is our green beans. You can do canned green beans. like the frozen green beans for this. Let me grab my shears out of here. I just like the way they cook up in here a little bit better, but like I said, canned green beans would totally work. And I'm gonna do 1 and some of a bag. This is how much I had left in my freezer from another recipe. By the way, if you're not using your Twix clips in your freezer for your vegetables, also in your pantry for chips, cereal, all the things. They're just the best. Twix clips have been around since forever. Always need more of those. All right, so we're gonna give this a good stir. This doesn't really have to cook per se, the beans. They're just gonna kind of heat up in here. But what we're gonna do next is actually layer this whole dish in a stock pot, and then it's all going to steam together, and that's where we get the cooked part of those beans. Like I said, they don't have to cook right now as much as they will once they're in the stock pot. What do you guys think? Does this look good so far? Would you try something like this? The next step is we're just layering this with rice. That's really it. That's the whole recipe. Let me know if you would try this at home. Something like this. Like I said, if you remember my spaghetti video that I shared, it's a lot the same except for rice, pasta, and a different vegetable. Pretty much the same dish. All right, so I'm gonna move that off of there for a second. We're gonna bring our stock pot in here. Take the lid off. So down in here, I have some oil. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Just enough to kind of coat the bottom of the pan. Not a ton, but just enough that it runs across the bottom of the pan. And once that oil gets nice and hot, I'm gonna turn this back up to maybe like a 6 or so, just to get that oil hot. Then we're gonna go ahead and make our tarik layer, which again is just that fried. It can be the rice itself. I could just start with the rice down in there, and it's that fried layer at the bottom, so when we flip everything out, it's gonna have that nice crunchy layer on the top. I'm using potatoes, but you could also do lavash bread, which is like a flat bread that they use, or you could do a tortilla. I've done that as well when I didn't have anything else. All right, so we're gonna get that nice and hot, and then we're just gonna layer together the rice, then the meat mixture, then the rice, then the meat mixture, the rice, the meat mixture, until we're done. And then we put the whole thing, the lid on with a towel around it to kind of grab some of that extra moisture. And again, we're just steaming that. I'm gonna turn it down to like a 4 and let that steam for about 30 minutes. So that bottom layer has time to cook, but everything else gets to steam. It's all cooked. It just needs time to steam and meld all of those flavors. All right, so my oil is almost ready. And then while this is cooking, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over and make some salad, some Persian salad or salad Shiraz, which is cucumbers, tomatoes, onion, lemon juice, mint, a little bit of olive oil, and some salt. So I'll be making that probably on my stories. So if you're not friends with me yet, if you're seeing this in a group or a party, go ahead and become friends with me. Check out my stories. You'll get to see me make that salad here in just a little bit. But let me know what you guys are doing fun for the summer, and would you try this recipe at home? So here are my potatoes I have cut. That's about the thickness that you want them. I'm using red potatoes. You could totally use something else if that's what you have or prefer. Red potatoes actually have a little bit lower glycemic index, so they don't spike your blood sugar as much. So maybe a little bit healthier, which, I mean, always a good thing. All right, a couple more in here. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and start layering. I'll kind of show you guys how this comes together. Here's my rice all cooked ahead of time. I made that ahead of time, and then I just let it kind of sit there and cool down. When rice is first done, of course, it has a lot of moisture in it, so this helps it not stick together. And I am using basmati rice. We always use basmati rice, white or brown basmati rice. We like both of them very much. Basmati is a longer grain rice, and want to wash it really good, rinse it really good so that it is not sticky. Here's our first layer of rice, and then I'm going to come in and layer some of the meat mixture. Here. And then we're just going to repeat that. We're going to repeat it probably 2 or 3 more times, and then I'm going to come in with my lid. After I'm done with that, I'm going to take my lid, wrap it in a towel, a clean towel. Of course, a clean towel. A clean towel like this. We'll put it over the top. And then, like I said, make sure that's on maybe like a 4 for about 30 minutes. Let that cook. And when it's all done, I'll dump the whole thing out upside down. That tarik will be on the top. And that's how we serve it. So let me know if you guys have any questions or if you saw any products that you just need to have. June is a fabulous month for hosting. I have all kinds of goodies to share with you. And if you want to see that salad made, make sure you're friends with me and hop on my stories and you'll see it there. Bye guys.